Welcome to the farm table.
Hey, thanks. It's good to be here. Like I said, it was 3 years in the making or something like that.
Yeah, man. Super excited to have you on the show. And today we're actually got a special show. It's the 12 Dabs of Christmas. We've never done a holiday special, but Jesh had the idea. So we said, fuck it, let's do it. We've got dabs from a few different places around the state. Some really cool producers and guys that I really vibe with. And you've brought in some really good stuff too. From Carver. Oh yeah, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yep, I'm Andrew Brown. I'm one of the owners. My wife and I own Carver Family Farms, where we got New Mexico's or Albuquerque's first micro license. We're just a small little mom and pop farm over by Balloon Fiesta.
Hell yeah.
We specialize I breed a lot of the plants that we grow. We collect a lot of genetics, and we're organic.
And you're vertical. You're dispo, grow, and manufacturing.
Yep.
Awesome. That's really cool because a lot of guys that got their micro or got their manufacturing, they didn't actually get their own store. So that's
a blessing
really cool.
And a curse. It's a break even. The way 280 is written and what we can and can't write off, it basically offsets or adds so much of a tax burden that it makes the retail break even. But I think especially in oversaturated market like we were talking, it's really hard to build a brand.
Yeah.
Without having connection to the customer
Yeah.
And I don't know how you do that.
It's hard. It's really hard.
My idea was set up a retail.
Yeah.
And if anything, like wholesale more, but have the retail where you can have an actual connection with the customers.
That is a really good point that you just made. It's really hard to build a brand when you do have a third party, you taking care of your consumer base. And
your message is gone unless who we've partnered with is a lot of really good wholesale or retailers, and they actually understand our mantra and what we're bringing forward. But it would be really hard.
It is, and we as farmers and the different brands that we've put out, it has been hard because we're only as represented as the bud tender or company that's trying to sell our stuff. And yeah, I mean, sometimes people get favorites. Sometimes there's an education gap and they just really don't know what the product is. So yeah, I couldn't imagine how cool it would be to actually explain my products to consumers that were there at the shelf. Like,
and listen to what like people are asking for jack terps. Like if you talk to growers hate jack. Everyone's like, oh, jack. But like if you listen to the customer, do you have Blue Dream and is there anything with jack terps? And it's like,
it reminds me of Tangy, man. You had people that just like growers that were like, fuck Tangy, extractors that were like, if I see another fucking Tangy, you're dead. And then you have consumers that are like, man,
I think
we
get tired of seeing it over and over again because we want to do something new, but the customers are just getting used to it. And then they get that taken away.
Oh, dude, remember when GMO came out? Oh my gosh. It was
our best selling flower.
And one of my favorites, I actually got it on the table today, but yeah, I was so burnt out on it because it was just like garlic. And I was like, where's the fruity shit?
Never get tired of garlic. As an Italian.
Like a third of our employees are like all about the nasty, the rankest, like
that's me, dude.
GMO is it.
Well, and that's where I've learned and as stuff is developing, that one I had you smell earlier, that's like almost best of both worlds because you have your super strong citrus, but you've got this like rotten fermented, nasty funk behind it. So yeah,
unless you're mixing things as a breeder, it's like citrus is so dominant that it's really hard to kind of bring something, especially in the front. Citrus is always out front.
Yeah. So, shout out to the ones that are out there truly chasing terps, chasing experience, chasing those flavorants and flavonoids that the consumer base is just barely getting education about. That really, for me, man, we're terp hounds. We're all about terp preservation. And for me, that's like the best thing that could happen is people actually opening their fucking eyes and their mouth and their flavors and realizing that like weed should taste good. Dabs should taste good. There's so many amazing essence from the plant that we can, as extractors, as hash makers, we can really dial in. And even as growers with the cure and doing things right, the right soil, the right amendments, we can get the best absolute flavors and aromatics out of this plant that makes the experience so much better. And that's where I'm thrilled that the industry is evolving towards that. Sucks that it's saturated. Sucks that, it's not, we're not the pioneers that, we once were, but it's cool to see everybody's got their head in it, and we're seeing so much amazing flavors and amazing stuff come through because of it.
I think the dust will settle, and what will rise will be people that are really passionate about the plant. I might be completely wrong. I don't know if, and I've talked to a lot of people, but I don't know if our state is MSO attractive because it's so spread out.
Yeah.
Each city is like, we're not that populated.
Strategically, it's
one of the
difficult.
poorest states in the nation. So, okay, you come out here and you're like, okay, we're in Albuquerque, which is one of the smartest hubs. And then you need to get product to, Silver City. And then I got to go the other direction. Like, it doesn't.
5 hours each way for a lot of these places.
Where the Midwest, you got 5 cities within 2 hours. And that makes a lot of sense. Yep. And so I think a lot of MSOs will maybe end up tailing out, and like Farmington will have a micro, or each will actually have different regions with different growers representing that. To me, that's going to look really good if that happens.
Well, and we were just out in BizCon doing some filming and doing some cool stuff with the Good Life gang, and that was
I appreciate you posting all that. It's cool to know. I couldn't get out there, but it was cool.
Oh man, we'll have to get you out there next year. But what was really a big question is cannabis culture dead? Is there still such thing as real cannabis culture? And, the reason it was being asked, I think, is because the adaptation of so much corporate cannabis, the MSOs, all these people moving into the cannabis space that don't give a fuck about cannabis. They don't smoke weed. They don't consume. They're just there for the money. And the culture, I think, and to answer my own question, is I don't think the culture's dead. I think the culture's under attack.
Or it's trying to be purchased and sold back to the culture itself.
Exactly.
And we've realized that's bullshit.
Exactly. And so I think, like you just said, as the consumers really start to evolve, as the markets start to evolve, the MSO corporate structure will only be workable and feasible in certain areas. And I think that, you are going to have areas that kind of stick to the craft market and stick to that culture-based market, because they're smaller and they can, withstand it, withhold it. And, you look at a place like New York City. Well, fuck, what mom and pop is going to be able to serve, all the boroughs of New York City? You know what I mean? And really,
but at the same time, what if one mom and shop was like a bodega and served that block, which is how Piff was?
Yeah.
And so like one block had a different strain and one block had a different. And if you wanted the 8.5, like that was beautiful. And now, like, imagine every borough has the same strain.
Well, and so you go to a place like Vegas. It was
which Vegas is unlimited plant count, from my understanding.
Well, but it's a super closed licensing structure. So they open licenses. All the good old boys got their, look it up, Google it. Don't quote me. I'll tell you my version of the story. But they opened up licensing. The good old boys, the money, got the licenses, and then they stopped licensing. Well, the mom and pop started suing because they couldn't get licenses. So the state, in order to kind of fight that and hold it up in court, paused licensing. So now the only ones selling, cannabis in Vegas are MSOs. And, there is, shout out Vlasic Flower.
Shout out Green Life Productions too. They're a no-till, large husband and wife, really cool, doing really good.
There's a couple that got in, and there's a couple that got in partnered with one of the bigger licenses. That's usually how I've heard it. But we saw some amazing flower in a grow out there, but in the dispensary, it was fucking rough.
We were at the Planet 13, I think, was the event. Yeah.
Yeah. And in the dispensary.
And that place is, you see it flying in. It's huge.
But it's all MSO, boofy shit. Like I said, there's a couple good brands like underneath the surface, but they're hard to find. And you go to every single dispensary and it's the same shit. Same brands, same products, same price. It's just this very cookie cutter corporate feel. Whereas New Mexico still has so many craft brands, so many unique brands, so many small mom and pops, so many flavors, so many aromatics, so much stuff that these other companies aren't even thinking about, And that's where I think all the little companies and being able to try all the little stuff from all the different it's almost like going on a beer flight and trying a bunch of different craft beers that are, from A to Z for flavor and effect. We have the same thing with hash and extracts and flower in New Mexico. Granted, it's all not the best, but there at least is
On that note,
that spread.
I think we do have some of the best sitting here at the table. So I think
Yeah.
we're ready for our first dab of Christmas.
All right,
Yeah.
let's do it. Let's do
Let
it.
me try that citrus, whichever one you think I should try out of those,
Yeah.
those three.
Yeah.
KY.
Yeah, I think he's got to try the KY.
I think about the license, I do agree. I don't think we should pause, but I do agree with your points on your reasons why. But I also think there's a lot of really good growers and possibly extractors that are waiting. And
So that's the argument.
They should need a license too. Just be like, they're waiting for the right moment. They're really good. Like, we don't know all the good growers out there because they're selling weed.
So that is the argument.
Itself.
That is the argument. And as much as I like free market and capitalism, that's the argument. Is it should be open and everybody should get their chance. It's very hard as one of those licenses that is experiencing saturation. But
what round did you get your license in?
We were medical.
Right. Like there were like three, right? That first one, then the second one, that's when our green leaf, and the third with like 7 points in them.
So we were the second, and we were originally X-Ray Farms. For those that don't know farmers folklore, we were X-Ray Farms. My mentor, Dr. Miller, a very, decorated, intelligent scientist, was actually my partner at first. And he had a license, and
Farm growing, or you were still just extraction?
Just a lab.
Okay.
Yeah, we were chemistry focused, extraction and distillation lab. And so we partnered up, and Doc, who's an amazing friend and become been there for me left and right. He let me know that he wasn't into it. That cannabis wasn't he loved cannabis. He loved using it. He loved he loved getting high, but making it and kind of running the company,
full-time business aspect of it.
Man, he said he wasn't given the respect that he deserved as a 3-time PhD and real scientist. And the industry didn't give a fuck about that. And it kind of kicked him in the nuts. And he said, look, he's an older guy too. He said, look, I want to retire. This isn't my thing. Buy me out. And I was like, well, fuck, I don't have any money. You know what I mean? I mean, I had a little bit of savings. I wasn't piss poor, but I also was nothing special. Me and my wife both worked full time, and I was like, and he wanted millions. And I'm like, yeah, no, that ain't gonna work, Doc. And he's like, well, we'll just go find an investor. You know what I mean? And long story short, none of that worked, but he ended up giving me the company on payments. And we found a way, and it worked out. And we were able to get in when nobody was allowed in a sense. And like I said, that was the only way as a little ghetto kid that I could, break through, was to find somebody that they actually had given a license to. And that was Doc. And that's our claim to fame. Do you have a dabber over there? Oh, did you try that KY?
I did. That was really good. That was like deep mouth coating citrus.
Yeah. Yeah. Not bad for some live resin.
I like the bright citrus, like the deep.
Yeah. So that is actually, tasty. That was grown. So that's KY Jealous. It's a Jelousy cross.
Okay.
I'm not, you're probably more familiar with that stuff than me.
We have the, Tiki's cut of Jelousy.
Nice.
Not JBZ.
Nice. So that was grown by Sandia.
Okay.
And then fresh frozen, harvested, and extracted by us. So that one, it reminds me a little bit of the Super Boof, but it's like so much stronger. You can't get away from it. Like I said, my palate's shot, and whenever I hit that stuff, I'm like, bam!
Yeah, fucking straight up.
Yeah, Super Boof has a little bit like the bright part I was talking about, almost like not the deep. I don't know how to explain that.
Somebody was just telling me that it was I saw a meme or something that was talking about it being just a renamed Tangy. Speaking of how
it doesn't grow the same, but sometimes it can taste the same.
So what I picked up right here is Hatch Belts.
Yep.
Well, why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
It's Rainbow Belts 3. Pheno I hunted. It's actually 2 phenos mixed together, and then Hatch Breath, which is Chili Verde Mindo Breath that I bred.
That's fucking amazing. That's really good.
Chili Verde Mindo Breath is like a creamy vanilla, and the
100%.
Rainbow Belts is pretty much Skittles.
Yeah, it's got an aftertaste of the sweet of the Skittles, but you get that vanilla, almost nutty note right away. Yeah, man, that's good.
Smells really good.
Fun one. Whew. And I bred the Hatch Belt or Hatch Breath, so I'm gonna use my male and make that cross and hopefully hunt something that's pretty similar.
Is that a Hatch New Mexico shout out?
Yep.
Nice.
I try to do something local to all the strain names, like Earthships is one. Thought that was pretty funny.
Nice. Shout out Taos.
Yeah.
Shout out all the Tauseños out there.
So you guys have just, one of the reasons I wanted to, get you on the podcast originally is you guys have really become a favorite out here, a local favorite. What do you think? Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I don't know for a favorite, but I think
people rave about your
I
stuff.
think a lot of cases, the grower and the patient is 2 steps away from what's happening. And in our business, the grower, I've been growing for, I think, 30 years. Not successfully, but I've been playing with plants for 30 years. Me and my wife have been growing together for 15, 16 years. Wow. We were patients. I think right when the program started, we signed up for cards. And so usually someone hires that person. And so our business is the decisions our business is faced with are answered by patients and growers. The plant comes first. Like our GMO goes 79, 80 days. A lot of people are pulling her at 62 days. It's not the same at all.
And you do that for what it gains in that little bit more time.
That's certain plants just aren't done if you're growing them for flower.
And people are cutting quick just to get it out there and just money.
Like sour diesel as like a lot of the gush mints, like a lot of these are longer. And we'll just take a week off of edge in the front and add it to the back. So it doesn't really affect our cycles, but like there's certain strains that you got to push them. And if you have a boss that's corporate, or a lot of the times MSOs, they will cut it down at 56 days no matter what. And a 56-day GMO compared to a 79-day GMO, like they're not even in the same ballpark.
Well, and I think so many consumers don't realize that each genetic is different. And so each genetic needs different time to grow, needs different treatment, will uptake nutrients and water differently, just acts completely differently. So having a room full of different genetics and trying to, slap everything with the same size shoe doesn't work.
For us, I think that's where the living soil comes in, because we're more so feeding the soil and building soil than we are growing a plant. And so the strain doesn't really matter because it's going to choose what to take. Where a lot of times different salt feeds, you're giving the same or different strains the same level of nutrients based off of different times of its life. Well, sour diesel isn't going to take up the same as a short, shrubby, fat-leafed plant just by nature of what it's using to grow tall and the different terpenes. And in living soil, as long as my soil is balanced, the plant should
just take what it
figure out what it needs. And so in the same soil, a plant can express what it wants to do. And I'm not really changing too much. But if you treat something similar in salt, and I'm not knocking it, I don't have a problem with salt at all. I think it's, we were talking about this earlier.
To explain the contrast because people don't know.
For me, I think the plant gets to choose what it wants.
Really? That's cool.
And every batch is different too. So like GMO is a good mark. Sometimes it's more sulfury, just from the volatile sulfur compound. We don't use sulfur at all in our grows room, but just from like what's in the plant. Sometimes it's sweeter. Sometimes it's like that funky foot, and that's just because of what it decided to take.
It's full of volatile sulfur compounds, and a lot of people don't realize that. But those are not because somebody's putting sulfur on the plant.
Right.
Those are naturally found inside the plants aromatics and flavorants and flavonoids. And so, yeah, you get that with different phenos. You'll get different, in a sense, different pheromones, different essential oils that are pushing out of that different pheno or different strain.
And I think different rounds of our top dresses, they might break down at different rates. And so at any given time, our soil nutrient balance isn't the exact same. And so that's why, this round might come out a little different or sweeter. And I like that. And I think our customers have started to understand that and like that and look forward to the new batch. Our batches are so small that it's easy to kind of look at the next batch. We're really out front with our testing, so you can look at and overlap what happened last time, what these terpenes did, what it's looking like.
Well, and I think you just explained it. I mean, that probably has a huge amount to do with your guys' success. Is A, you're real cannabis people,
right?
So you actual users, actual consumers, and B, you give a fuck. You're actually listening to what people want. You're taking the time to focus on consumer education. Not just flashing a neon sign at them, fucking, buy this, buy this, buy this. I think there's so much to say about that type of cannabis, that type of cannabis business, because so many companies out here don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. You walk in, the bud tenders bugged you there. They're like, can I help you? What do you want? You ask them, you start asking, connoisseur questions like, well, what do you like? What tastes the best? This distillate cart over here, that's I meant flower. Oh, people like this one. You know what I mean? And just like this complete disconnect from the actual plant, from the actual, you should be able to go into a restaurant and know what the best food is just by the waitress or the waiter giving you the menu opening. So when you walk into a dispensary, you should be greeted with, that bud tender, that company owner's opinion on what is good, what is best. And if the relationship is really good and the experience is really good, what's best for that patient. And actually that comes with listening and say, oh, okay, well, my back hurts. I can't sleep. Oh man, I tried this and it really didn't work, whatever. And really trying to gauge, okay, man, I got some stuff that when I hit it, my back completely relaxes. I've tried it. It puts me in the couch, whatever. And kind of pushing that towards the patient because you have those experiences, not just, it's like 45% THC flower. It's sick. It's the best. So yeah, that's what you need. And I think that's killing the culture.
I think we're small enough to listen to we have a strain one of our customers named. And so sure, that's great. We'll use that one. I mean, interacting with the customer, I think is a great connection to the community. We're open source too. So we teach a lot of people. It's really great selling the clones and the plants we sell because we help people connect to the plant.
Yeah.
And then come by and
you brought something with you today.
Yeah, that's a Tropsano plant.
That's beautiful. Christmas. She looks nice and happy. So that's something that a patient or not even a patient, a customer
anyone now,
can come in and purchase from your store.
Yeah. And that's, check it out.
That
and that's
size?
We put them in, they're a little bit smaller and they grow. We don't change the price if they grow bigger. I mean, that's, I think.
Oh, wow.
Pretty much GMO.
I was just going to say that. That's
Santo, not
GMO,
the Tropicana. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. This is the one I just hit. Yeah. So back to the dab. Not only did that just rock my head and completely get me stoned, I got some dab of paws, dab sweats, but the taste is still like coating my mouth. So good job on that. That hatch belts for you guys. Look for that one in the stores.
Too. Yeah.
This Trop Santo's super GMO.
You can find that at what? Carver? Is that exclusive?
Everything we do is single source.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you do wholesale?
We're starting to wholesale. Yep.
Nice.
So I think my wife was going to text me a list. We have our goal is to kind of wholesale out into different cities and then kind of bring it in. So we bud board, dark matter. There's House Canyon, House Mountain. There's a handful of places.
Nice.
Those are all good names you just mentioned.
That's dope. And you guys know if you're buying
Casa
Carver,
Verde carries our stuff.
you're supporting a local mom and pop, a real cannabis team, and yeah, a real craft team. And the other thing, if people don't already know about you, which most people know first, is the glass. Tell us about that.
So Carver's actually my nickname from years of blowing glass. Carving glass, it was kind of what I did to set myself apart because I was doing bead shows and flying around the country doing like Bead and Button magazine.
It's much more than just melting. It's carving as well.
Right. Yep. It's pretty much gem cutting and carving with diamond equipment when the glass is cold.
Yeah.
And then polishing and faceting.
So you do your hot work, you take it through your kiln, and then all the cuts and carves and everything, that's all done cold work.
Yep.
Wow.
And then it's reheated to get to anneal the stress out of it, or like the Calm Bird collab. That's
pick that up and show the camera. Yeah, put close to that mic is right in focus. There you go. Close to your microphone. Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah.
And so all this is carved up, or all this is carved and then repolished. So sometimes the carving will leave it like satin finish. So you either have to polish it with polishing equipment or a fire to get it like that.
Yeah, and for all you youngsters out there that think you're heady, I've always said you're not really heady unless you got a male fitting on your rig. So that's a male. So that tells you that it was a certain age.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
I think, yeah. Everything used to be male. Their female wasn't the thing because of the whole dome, nail and dome.
The old school.
Yeah, the old
wasn't
way
until the old
dad.
Quave Club Banger came out with the first nice quartz.
Yep, and most people don't know that it's a club banger. Most people just call them bangers, but yeah, it's the name of it is a club banger, and I think Quave that was the first one, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, that's some dab history.
And that was if you didn't have the Quave Club Banger in your rig to take a picture of, you get called out.
Yeah, well, and that was like that made Toro look like, I
remember making the HMK, the Hashmaster cut. The swing, the tie plate swings. I remember making those pieces.
I remember when Puke and Beagle came out with all his like scientific different bangers, and he started really getting into, getting away from just like the classic club banger and the classic stuff. But yeah, no, that's some dab history. All right, what we got? What are we on? We're on the third dab of Christmas.
Yep.
What should we try here? We got some. We got Z Labs. Okay. This is Z Labs Biscotti.
Okay, sweet. We were talking in the parking lot.
Yeah, no, man. Z Labs, he's a super young guy, super passionate. If you look back in the podcast, we've had him on before. And yeah, he does his own thing, and he's done pretty well in the state. And I think he definitely stands, for one of the newer brands, he definitely stands out. More than anything, I think cannabis should be about people. And when you talk about people, Zach is such a good person, such a good kid. So yeah, that I think almost makes his products a little cooler too.
And he loves it, dude. He's all about it.
That's my favorite part. Like I said, if you don't have passion, doesn't really like. I don't care if it's BHO or salt growing or aeroponic, anything. Like as long as you have passion, like that's like you can sit at the same table.
You got the Biscotti. I'm gonna try the permanent Chimera.
All right.
And let me know if you want to hit any of these rigs too if you get tired. Oh wow, so that's super wet. That's just like a puddle. It's got some color on it, but it looks super wet.
It is.
The Biscotti was much lighter. Oh yeah, this is almost like a slush, sauce.
Show the camera. So yeah, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, a little darker, but super wet, and not too dark. Just a natural color.
I kind of like the tan orange.
Dark for us just means you took it.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, like GMO looks really good if you wash it at day 62, but if you wash it at 79, it looks darker, but the flavor is way more complex.
Well, and I love the way you said that. You took it, you brought it to the, the right amount of time to let it get to its full potential. And that's where, corporate cannabis just looks right over that. Fuck it. It's done. Everything else is done. Let's go.
I mean, I was sitting at a sesh at that Build a Soil event, and I mean, people were pulling out jars of the same wash, same microns, different pulls, and you could taste flavor differences in the first pull, third pull. Same micron. I mean, it was unbelievable. You could smell differences, all cold cured out, just the same wash, same exact process, just different pulls.
Well, and that's where the technique of the hash maker or the extractor really comes into play. And that's why rosin can be so much more unique than, or so unique, next to a lot of other things, because the littlest little tweak, or, okay, I just took 1 pull, 2 pull off the first wash, second wash, this micron, and you really start to dial in, like you said, completely different tastes, effects, aromas from the same fucking material.
I think the hard part is that's where the black market wins, because they're all SKUs for us. I have to test them different. If I'm selling something to different products, it's a completely different SKU. And so it's not really cost effective for me.
Well, and that's
especially in a small wash, to separate my first, second, and third pulls and try to sell 4 grams and test 4 grams. I mean, it's.
Well, and that's where, it almost, I think, it was at 710 Labs that came out with like the Percy and like all the different little grades and codes and levels.
Yeah.
And I think that's where that stuff starts to really come in. And then, the real little stuff, that's for the hash maker.
Right.
If it ain't big enough to test, it's for the hash maker. Permit to
grab that dabber.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We're sharing a dabber. Jess, you got another dabber?
I sure do.
There's some fucking carbon chemistry one somewhere in here. Oh, yeah, we got all the fancy ones too. Andrew's so patient. He was just sitting there. I'm like, why isn't he taking the dab? And I'm sitting over here with the fucking tool. So he does crystal infused water.
Yeah, Adam Lasercat's doing that too up in Colorado.
Yeah, so that's the one thing that he does a little different than I guess your average company out here.
I was up working with Adam, Sweater Kingpin, in his shop one time, and they do cold working and faceting too, and all of their water lines run through crystals and stuff.
That's funny. Wild. Yeah. Well, and it's funny. We're good friends with Lava Leaf, Tony, and Mitchell, and we were just talking to Zach, and I was like, "Hey, man, did you know Zach's using crystal infused water?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like wearing one of their hats, and he's like, "We crystal infuse. We bury crystals with the plants. We do this. We do that. Check him out. Ask him about it." But he had a whole bunch of crystal techniques that they were actually doing on their farm. And so, they were like 2 peas in a pod. And then I noticed his logo is the cannabis leaf in crystals.
Fractaled out.
Yeah. So I was like, fuck yeah. But no, it's cool to see the different nuances, different techniques that these different growers, different people use. And like I said, going back to it I think it's getting it back to the people, to the culture, and really preserving those special things about
giving your customers, giving your community what you would want from a dispensary if you weren't on the other side of the counter, right? Like, I think that's the big one and that's what I have a huge disconnect as somebody who doesn't grow or extract or do anything like that. I shop around town and it is, there's a massive disconnect.
Back in the day, that literally was the level of how much you could trust to somebody. Was, oh, you don't smoke? Oh, you must be a fucking cop. Like, you know what I mean? So
to me, this is connection to the plant.
Yeah,
100%. I mean? Speaking of, how is the Biscotti?
It was great. It was really good.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Had almost like a little citrus on the backside of it.
Nice. It was a sweeter Biscotti. Yeah, this the permanent Chimera was very gassy. Kind of that permanent, really. I guess Chimera can be a little gassy too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
chemi gas.
Yeah, super chemi, super gassy. Super smooth though. I barely even coughed it. I hit it really, really low temp. But yeah, no, not bad at all. The texture is wild on this. I mean, this is wet. I wonder if it's marked as a jam. That might be.
That's something I wish we had bigger batches where we could do more tests on different consistencies and stuff. But
the consistencies are cool. I don't think the consumer might really appreciate them as much, but
more me as a scientist,
yeah.
I like playing around, you know what I mean? Just seeing
when you get
things.
it to kind of sauce out and crystal up and kind of grow those little micro kind of applesauce crystals, I think it does. I think it completely changes the flavor and the profile is different.
Well, the terps are going to be burned first because the crystals are held back.
Yeah.
So it's going to be in your face with some terps.
So what's next? What's next for Carver? What's in the works? I don't know if we said it earlier, but yeah, you guys just had a big to do. You bought your building. That's freaking amazing.
Just finished that yesterday, signed for it.
Congratulations.
It's been, thank you.
Dude, the milestone that is for a mom and pop.
A little bit too quick for us, and we're definitely broke because of it. But I mean, we didn't really have a choice. You know what I mean? Our landlord was selling it.
Wealthy in assets, though.
Yep. We needed to kind of separate some things legally, and so that separated us from the lease, which was up in September of this year. And so September next year, you better know where you're moving to now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it just, a good friend of ours helped us out. And it's kind of the stars aligned. It lets us do not a lot.
Yeah.
But we have a huge parking lot. So we're going to start having events, and I want to start doing, edible plants. We're going to start selling plant starts and more cactuses and things like that.
So yeah, you guys do. You also brought a cactus.
Yep.
So you don't just grow.
Nope.
Cannabis.
We sell legal and theogenic plants. And when we first opened, we had Mimosa hostilis. We had Acacia confusa. This is a Trichocereus burgessii. I'm probably not saying that right.
Holy shit! You busted out the Latin.
Well, he's
not high enough yet. If he's properly busting out
probably
Latin.
butchered the way it was said, but no, there's like Peruvian cannabis, Peruvian cactus. There's like 4 or 5 different ones.
So how'd you get into that?
I've been in psychedelics since I was a kid. I was into the Grateful Dead. I went from skateboarding, graffiti, and punk rock to the Grateful Dead. And when I saw Glass on the Grateful Dead lot, that kind of flipped me out. And then I think 92 is my first show.
So that's why your brand's so popular, because you're just fucking cool. No, that's dope. So you're like a real hip hop head, a real graffiti head, real cannabis guy. Yeah. And yeah, you said you've been doing this since the fucking 90s. Yeah. That's wild.
Actually, my wife and I went to high school together. She was a year below me, and I don't remember it, but I sold her crew weed. I used to move a lot of weed back in the 90s.
Yeah.
In like suburban high school days. Like brick weed is all just on the front and fronted out.
Where are you originally from?
Northern Virginia. Herndon, Reston area, Fairfax County.
Dope. Yeah, I'm originally from Illinois, Chicago. Came out here when I was a kid. What brought you to New Mexico?
So I grew up in Virginia. I went to art school, actually, Savannah College of Art and Design in Savannah, Georgia, from 94 to 98. I had graduated, and the scene was kind of falling apart with people getting in trouble. And I was growing at the time, and I didn't want to get caught up in that. And so Virginia and Georgia at the time, I think it was like 25 to life was cultivation charges. So there was no messing around. I didn't really realize that. Like now looking back, like how either rogue and forefront I was or how dumb I was, because getting in trouble would just ruined everything. And so, things were kind of falling apart. A lot of drugs were coming into Savannah. And so I just decided to get out. And so I had a buddy that moved to New Mexico to go to UNM for museum studies. And I just kind of moved out.
Hell yeah.
Got a job at a camera shop, and then found glass like a year after I came out, and then just quit everything and doubled down on glass.
That's cool. So that means you've been in the glass game for a long time too.
Since 99. Yep.
Holy shit. That's wild. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. I guess some people know that stuff about you, but I don't think everybody knows.
So it was kind of by design. I didn't want to be like, oh, Carver B has a weed shop. I wanted to be like, okay, here's our weed, set it out in front of you. Is it good enough? And then be like, oh, by the way, start bringing glass into the shop, start bringing some of my friends down to do demos in the parking lot, start like, I have my good graffiti buddy Plasma Slug on the East Coast. I'll probably have him out. We did a show like when we first opened and had his art in the walls and stuff, which was pretty cool. And
that's cool.
Just like bringing everything back. But I didn't want to be like, use that to sell our weed.
Yeah.
I wanted the weed.
You wanted both of them to stand alone. And I think they do. But I think it's also very smart that you
this is basically, I don't know if you've seen this. This is based off of I mean, that's a piece of glass.
That's wild.
You know what I mean? So
Jess, did you get a look at these pieces?
Yeah, there we go.
So the layers.
Look at that shit.
So I think that's always what tripped me out too about like the carving in your work is there's so many layers. You layer so many things, and then when you carve away the sections, you get to start to see all those layers.
Which I made a signature for myself, but it also limited a lot. I like typecast a lot of what I do.
Yeah.
And it also limits a lot of these colors are amazing, but they don't sandwich well together. They don't go deep in case. And so my color palette's pretty limited on what I can use. But
the bending you get,
I use a lot of gold and silver fume. And so that's the iridescence is just gold blasted inside there. Because you wouldn't think you'd see it, but when you peel it and the glass gets thinner, the gold shines.
There's almost like a psychedelic, like hallucinogenic, like look to kind of focusing in on some of your pieces. That's really cool.
And then since I pretty much taught myself, I convinced my buddy from college to move out here. I was like, oh my gosh, we're making these. They're like $2 body jewelry pieces. I can make 20 an hour. We're going to be rich. That didn't really happen, but I convinced him to move out, and we kind of started KB Glassworks.
Okay.
Kind Bud, because we were doing all these bead shows, and I wanted to hear the ladies, these old bead ladies, ask where the KBs were, and they would. They're like, "Where's the young kids in the KB?" But yeah, we just springboarded off each other. We met this local guy, Lewis Wilson. I don't know if you ever heard of him.
Sounds familiar.
Older guy that used to work at Disney, and kind of like. As much as Bob Snodgrass revolutionized borosilicate glass. Like Bob Snodgrass did it for pipes, Lewis did it for paperweights and marbles and like the art side of that.
I think I do know.
And so he took me and Brian and his mentors, and that's where, I mean, we were doing, I would fly around the country, do marble shows where everyone in the room was set up with marbles, which is absolutely
crazy. There's a following. There's like a huge following.
I mean, they're still making like Gateson, Mike Gong. I mean, some of the Josh Sable, some of the best stuff you've ever seen.
Well, I think so many people confuse like glass blowers, workers with only being like with dabs or weed pipes or whatever. There's a whole art world.
Oh yeah,
huge art world to glass blowing. And yeah, as a stoner, you don't really realize that. You're just like, oh man, he makes a sick fucking rig or a sick pendy. But yeah, no, a lot of it, like you said, is just marbles. But like the detail and the intricacy and the art and the mastery that goes into a lot of just little tiny paperweights or marbles is just amazing. And then obviously the same thing like your rig or your pendy, the uniqueness of it becomes a one of a kind, and yeah, you can see marbles and small pieces of art like that go for crazy amounts of money.
I'm more drawn to solid glass, like the way the layers of it, the solid, like, okay, if it's hollow, like that would have to, for me to do those cuts, that would have to be like that thick.
Yeah, you couldn't.
Right. Or it gets really difficult, like the heating, the connections. And so I'll usually like the calm piece is a collab where, a lot of my work is in there.
I've never seen a Carver rig. That's probably the first Carver rig that I've ever seen. That's really cool.
They're okay. I mean, I make them. It's me like forcing something. I feel like my passion is solid work. Like once I started making these pieces,
non-functional. So your passion is opposite. It's non-functional.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I started making these pieces like, wow, it kind of looks like a rock. And they're like, well, why don't I make rocks? And you're like, oh, and then you start looking at rocks like that's just an ammonite.
Wow. That's cool, man. That's wild. You guys can see that. Very cool.
And so I kind of I'll make something and look at that and then make something else from that and kind of springboard.
Nice. Well, that's super cool. Yeah, no, I didn't know that you've been in the glass game that long. I knew you'd been doing it for a while, but
I was growing weed the whole time, and so I didn't really talk to people. Another reason why I didn't really make a lot of pipes because I I was actually just talking to a friend about this yesterday. I was actually out of town at an art show, and I was working at a head shop at TNA, which was on Central and Carlisle.
Yeah.
Actually, Brian Bentley was there. Cisco was there.
Yeah, I've known Bentley for a long,
Rashawn was in there. Dan was there. There was a handful of people, and I was in the back, like behind this beaded curtain, just making my art and stuff. I was out of town at an art show and got a call that Pipe Dreams was happening. And that was in the Tommy Chong, and everyone got in trouble, and Jerome Baker and the feds came in, and all the head shops thought they were getting raided.
Yep,
And so I was in Milwaukee wondering if our studio is going to be there. And so that was a trip.
They didn't end up actually getting in trouble though.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah,
I mean, it was like 2 weeks of being scared. Every black, SUV that drove by, thought it was gonna be the feds or something. But
yeah, that's where Bentley got stabbed.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was actually at an art show for that and got a call like, "Hey, I don't know if you should come in tomorrow."
Yeah. No, wild Albuquerque.
Yeah, I was there for all the times. That place was wild. Like you'd roll in, people. I can't remember those little pellet guns. Like the tattoo side had them, the glass side had them. You go in there, just he's getting barrage. Yeah.
Oh shit.
It was unbelievable.
All right, what
Crazy
number are we
times.
on, Jesh?
I believe this will be your
Is this 7 and 8? No.
4. Well, no. So you guys did KY,
Okay.
and
Yep.
then you tried the hatch belts.
Yep.
And then
Mhm.
you did, what was next?
Do we do Zach next?
You did Zach next.
Yeah, okay. So now let's bust into this.
So you guys are on 4.
Yeah,
So
let's
now
do.
Hey, you pick it out. Let me try
5
someone
and
else.
6.
Someone else's stuff.
Yeah, let's try. Do you want the Piatella? You want to try some oleo?
Is it dabbable?
The Piatella?
It should be.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we can clean the banger. I got alcohol. This is lemon cane Piatella. So that is from Oleo. And this is from a new brand, Hannah. Hannah Growth. That's who we got right here. They do flour and they do some different
Which one?
specialty hash. This one right here.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying it was
Yeah, they made these special farm table labels for us.
Show that to the camera.
So, yeah, if you can see, they made
Sick.
shout out.
There you go. Hell yeah. Shout out
That's
Oleo.
pretty nice.
Right?
Got a
Shout
little
out Sandia.
ring around that one.
Show the camera again.
Which one's that? That's the OG KB.
Ooh, that
Mhm.
looks good.
Nice.
That's Piatella?
No, this one
No,
is.
that one is.
Okay. Pretty long little loaf.
Nice. Crystally.
Yeah, let's see. So for those of you that don't know what Piatella is, you want to explain this one? You probably have a better explanation.
It's just hot, like a 6-star high-end resin that's kind of cured instead of pressed out.
Yeah, and they
So
cure it in
over-
a special
It should be done
cellophane.
over like 6 to 8 months.
Correct.
I think that's where a lot of the disconnect is. People are making it in like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And so it was a Spanish thing, from my understanding.
And I think he said this was a 4 or 5 month cure on this lemon cane. And so yeah, it's hash. It's ice water hash. It's good. Premium 5-6 star hash that they then wrap up or whatever. They have a technique to where they
Kind of wraps it up tight into a loaf. So
Yeah.
it's almost like a pre-pressed, not like a press bag that's thin,
Yep.
like a pre-pressed kind of loaf.
And then it almost cures the terpenes, the aromatics, basically the HTE that's inside those resin heads kind of leach out and kind of soak the hash in it's almost like a wet sand. When in it, and it'll brown a little bit, it'll oxidize a little bit. But yeah, and then they age it. Could you have me one of those butane cans? I'm so sorry. Right there. And then they age it, or I don't even want to say age it, or that's the time it takes for that process to basically happen. And what you should end up with is a super terpy, kind of richer, more like robust hash experience, I guess.
How's that OGKB?
That's good.
Notes?
It's good. We call it good weed terps. It's kind of like the generalized, like doesn't really lean.
Kind of your classic
Yeah, that's good. I don't know how to explain it.
limonene, pinene. Yeah.
A little bit of everything.
And I think that's
It's definitely
OG.
not like a Z leaner. It's not a GMO leaner. It's kind of hard to pinpoint for me, but it's good.
Well, the OG
We call that the good weed terp.
Yeah, the OG is kind of always that kind of cushy.
It's a little cushy at the end, yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, we're about to take a dab. What's some news in the world? What's the good news?
The good news is hash is still evolving and advancing.
It's good to see all these quality stuff in our market.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's definitely good news.
You know, we talked about that with Stonehead, how at one point, you know, everybody's head stash was out of state.
Maybe you have one or two in there that's like the homie or something like that that's got, you know, home grow or something like that.
Right.
Home setup. Now you could easily just stay in the state and have absolute fire all the time.
Well, and even him who was used to getting, you know, traditional market stuff was, you know, down to almost all New Mexico products. Sharp lemon on that.
On the Piatella?
Yeah, which is surprising because you wouldn't usually get that off of just the hash.
Interesting.
I mean, maybe I didn't try the hash, but tastes great.
Looks like it dabs well.
It's head, so it's obviously sandy. That's another thing. Know what you're smoking, know what to expect. You know, this is hash. It's not as filtered per se as rosin or other extracts. So yeah, it's gonna leave your banger sandy.
It's got pulp in it, dude.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that that's a bad thing. It just means, yeah, it is what it is. But the effects from hash, ice water hash, Piatella, different stuff like that, even fucking temple balls and shit.
Yep.
I highly suggest everybody go out and try at least once and tell me how you like it, because it's a different high. It's mellow. It's chill. There's definitely nothing wrong with smoking old school hash.
I do like the advancements are pretty cool too. Like just to see all the different consistencies.
I went in at like 5'10", and it didn't seem too bad.
Okay.
How stoned are you?
I'm decent. I'm probably a 6 out of 10.
You'll always be a 10 to me.
I'm always a 10 on the
what's
scale.
What's next for farmers? What do you guys got going on?
What's that?
What do you guys got going on? What's next for you guys?
You know, pretty much pinky in the brain over here, you know, just trying to take over the world. 1 gram at a time.
Right.
We want to be one of the first New Mexico based MSBs. So we want to move
outward.
Yes, we want to move outward. Oh, excuse me. We want to move outward, get into other states, kind of take. Oh, I'm sorry, there was a marble right there. Kind of take what we've learned and what we feel that we've figured out how to do and kind of earned right in the game, and we want to take that and take it to markets that don't have a mature game and don't have the consumer education. And I think that's what helped us in New Mexico so much. Like, you know, I don't know if I said it already, but when we came in, it was a rough crowd. Like what was out there that was dabbable or vapable was shit. You know, fucking sorry, not sorry. You know, but it wasn't good. I'll call out every single, you know, company to their face that was around when we came out. People weren't making good dabs, good extracts. They did not give a fuck. They were cutting corners left and right. And, you know, farmers came out, and I don't think we did anything special. fuck, most of the material we got wasn't even that great at the
Weren't
time.
there like 3 stainless steel extractors at the time or something like that?
Not many.
Right.
You know, there was like one fucking C1D1 booth at the time. But yeah, not many. And so, yeah, we came out banging, you know, and basically took the average shit that was on the market and tried to make it as best as we could. And yeah, people hadn't seen light colored dabs. They hadn't seen yellow, orange, fucking white, tan. They hadn't seen anything like that. It was poop soup across the fucking board. And we came in and we were like, damn, this is how it's supposed to look.
Yeah.
This is how it's supposed to. Oh, what is that? There's a taste to that? Oh, holy shit. Why does this taste so good? Those are terpenes. And like, you know what I mean? And it was so fucking sad because the industry was like starved for like something like better. And yeah, we came in and fucking dominated at the time. Now there's, with an open market, there's a ton of good companies out there. Fuck, most of the companies that were shit back when we came in have completely changed up their game. You know, so not talking shit about anybody currently. This was a long time ago. But yeah, now it's a fucking fierce market. Now there's good weed too. There was barely any good weed back then.
Yeah.
You know, there was like Sandia and like Harvest.
Urban came around.
Urban.
Yeah.
Those were like the only 3 places you could like really, at the time, not now. This is, what does Dirty say? This was 15 years ago.
Statute of
limitations. Not right now. There's lots of good weed out there right now. But back then there was like a couple companies. Like you literally, like most of the companies, you wouldn't smoke what was out there.
I don't think the growers got the licenses. You know what I mean?
Well, and
the grower wasn't like in the thought of the application. It was like get the application, then find the grower. So
yeah. Well, and yeah, that was, I don't know if we were recording it or not, but that was kind of something we talked about in the beginning is, yeah, we fucking, you know, you either had the money to do it and you knew somebody that, you know, you could bring in or fuck over, or you didn't and you just winged it and fucked it off.
If some of the original people had saw value in consulting, there'd be people like me that wouldn't have a license because I would just consulted.
Yeah. I made some money consulting. Definitely. I don't want to, you know, say I didn't, but yeah, that was at a time when nobody knew how to extract. Nobody knew how to distill. So you needed somebody to come in and, you know, I feel good about my consultations. I gave good information and I did a good job, but made companies millions of dollars doing it. So, and that's where it got to the point where I was like, I just want to have my own shit. You know, I want to be able to have that. Because that's the one thing. Every time I did a consult, they'd always cut a corner. Like without fucking fail, they'd always cut a corner. And that was one thing with control of my own company, I could make sure we didn't do.
Yeah, that's true.
And yeah, no, without fail, no matter what they paid, no matter what you told them, you could tell them, if you do this, if you take this step out of the process, the whole place will blow up. They'd fucking try as soon as you left. You know what I mean? And yeah.
Consulting takes the 280 out of it though, that's for sure.
Yes. Well, and those of you trying to get into cannabis right now, man, you probably should go get a mental evaluation. Make sure you're good.
If anything, just for a before and after.
Because it's rough in New Mexico. In New Mexico specifically, the whole industry, depending on your state, I don't know. There's some blossoming markets.
I think that we have a lot of things in our bill that are going to keep our program kind of solid. Like a lot of these other places, things are not in the bill and they come up and they get changed in rules hearings.
Yeah.
So there's people in Minnesota and Michigan and all kinds of other states that are having or Florida. Imagine getting in Florida. It's millions of dollars.
Yeah. Well, and that's those good old boy markets, you know, like I think, you know, Vegas ended up being where, it was a pay to play, or Chicago. We've heard horror stories about Chicago, and Chicago was supposed to have a social equity clause in place. And like I said, Google that, look it up. But that turned out horrible because you know what, I don't even want to go into what that means and what ends up happening from that. But yeah, corporate companies greatly abused that.
There were some things in our original, everyone's application that stood out and were really important to us as an organic group or company. Like the social equity is really important. The
Very
water
important.
usage and electricity. And no one's revisited that.
No.
So it was a big part of what I had to write a big social equity thing, and we stick to that, but no one's asked anything about that. No one's ever asked our water bill is $100 a month.
Yeah.
For
not shit, really.
No.
I mean, I guess.
And that includes our laundry.
Yeah.
And so our drip tape and our methods and our cover crops and states, that was a big part of our application. We were really proud of that. States never asked anything. So
yeah,
I guess there's a lot of things we're proud of ourselves that doesn't really matter,
Yeah, no, that's crazy. They haven't checked our plans. We did. We had a big social equity plan as well. They didn't check that. And
do you think we would have oversaturation in the market would be what it is now if the CCD inspected pre-license?
No.
Right.
No, 100% not.
Not even close.
And man, that's a hard pill to swallow because you could take that as.
I thought that's what we signed up for. And so we didn't see him for a while. So we've been inspected 9 times as a micro license.
I have friends that haven't seen him once. I think you might be one of the only ones above us. And I think we're like 7. And we know other brands that have never been seen.
Right.
It's wild. And there is definitely, and they all watch the podcast. So shout out,
oh, they're great.
Yeah,
like they've come and they'll train their employees in our place. Like we try to be as open and.
But
I would also what I thought I signed up for is I thought we were like when you pay for a license, we're kind of in partnership with them. Like they're our business partner helping us bring tax money basically and employ New Mexicans and help our state out.
Now I will say shout out the CCD officers and workers because they're people. And they're trying to do a job and whatever. But I'm not gonna condone the state for their shortcomings as a state and regulator in, like you're saying, creating a fair and equitable playing field for all participants.
I also don't think the state can afford to, and now the cat's out of the bag, there's not enough money to have the inspectors there's 3,000 licenses.
But as a state, they need to provide money for this department, especially when, I don't give a shit, general fund or not, there needs to be enough allocated to do the job. And yeah, if that's a CCD office in every fucking corner of the state, now, as I climb off that fucking ladder, because I'm also not for over-regulation and this and that, I think that after they get all the bad characters out, then they're going to have fucking too much time on their hands and they're going to start being shitty to the good characters. Again.
No, they're not shitty to us at all. They're they're super nice. Like they're like
just frequent.
Yeah, the frequent shoppers. And like with the retail and the car in the parking lot, like you'll look on the cameras and they're like the customers are it's like, but we show them stuff. This is what this is. This is where we store this. What can we do? Where should stickers be? I don't want to get this license taken away. Like this is my baby.
What dab are we at?
7 and 8.
No, we got to be higher than that. I'm higher than that.
Yeah, I think it's 7 and 8.
So we
did the Piatella, right?
Yeah,
that was 6, 7.
So Piatella, that wasn't bad.
5,
Interesting. 6. Good to smoke some hash. Because I don't always smoke hash. It's just a greasy hash. I thought it was. What'd you think?
It was good.
Yeah,
hashy.
Did you get the lemon come through on it?
No.
Not really. I got a little citrus. Maybe it went too hot. All right, what's next? What do we got?
Some Nero, dude.
Some Nero? Okay. Yeah, we have some Gary. No, that's
do you like hydrocarbons or water hash? Just the process, not smoking or anything like that.
The process,
seem like more of a chemist.
Yeah, the process. I'm gonna go with more extraction. Hydrocarbon. But Yeah, I just like good dabs, good hash, good oil. May that be rosin, fucking water hash, fucking live resin, whatever. But I'm most probably drawn towards live resin. I think, like I said earlier, and like you can hear in my fucking voice, I'm a heavy smoker. So, my palate is just burnt up. So yeah, the terpenes, the flavorants and everything that come through from BHO, from live resin, just, yeah, that's where my palate goes for, just so I can actually taste something. A lot of rosin out there, definitely not some of the stuff I've just tried, but a lot of rosin out there doesn't have much taste, much terps on it. But yeah, what about you?
So I used to do backyard boogie style with the glass tube and stuff like that. I just didn't really. That was back in the way long time ago when it was
a different game.
Shatter was the best, and now that's not the terpiest, and we're chasing terps. And so what we were chasing, or what the industry was chasing, was kind of in its infancy.
Yeah.
And so I am drawn to science all the time and chemistry, and so the process is amazing and what you can do with it under pressure, because I can only do so much with heat and pressure. I guess I can take my rosin and do something in a centrifuge and things like that, but there's only so, if you're kind of down that natural water, rosin, pressure, heat only, there's only so much you can do. And I'm limited in terpenes.
Well, more than anything in yield too, from terpenes and just resin yield. And I think that's where,
strains this strain is not going to give me that, but if it tests a certain percent, you should just be able to get that percent out of it, right?
So I always like to have good relationships with rosin guys, because they always have non-washers, but they're top of the line, great terps, great smoke, all this stuff, but it doesn't wash well. So, whoever's got the best BHO practices usually gets the non-washers, because they've already froze it. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, we've gotten some amazing, KY is one of them. They wanted it as a washer and it didn't wash. It's actually right here.
That's rosin.
Oleo KY, yeah. And so that's the rosin version of what you tried live resin earlier.
Right. Okay.
Which, fuck, man, it's hard to argue there, because, man, the same terps are there. It's super wet. BHO the live resin one might be a little wetter, but yeah, I haven't dabbed it yet. But yeah, it's definitely fucking wet and loud. With that same rotten orange.
The other one. That's kind of cool.
And then the BHO, yeah. So that's like the side by side comparison. Taken down at the same time, so you can see color difference too. Hydrocarbons, isobutane, whatever hydrocarbon is going to strip. It's going to completely, it all has to do with solubility. Rosin, ice hash, you're dealing with the mechanical separation. Oil and water doesn't mix. So the resin head and water they don't mix. So you have, a way to kind of filter out and sift and sieve the heads with
there's polar and non-polar terpenes.
Correct.
And so you're going to get both of them, and I'm not.
Correct.
And that's why this one is way more citrus.
Yes.
Off the bat, the BHO one is citrus.
Yes. And so, and that, like you said, that certain profile might have just made it through better, you know what I mean, with that form of extraction. A lot of guys, if you're a rosin guy, if you're a washer, if you're a hash maker, the water smells. The water can smell great. And that's a bad thing, because that means they're water soluble terps and you're losing them. A lot of things have different solubility. So what is water soluble can also be hydrocarbon soluble in a hydrocarbon. So yeah, when you attack anything, any type of cannabis with a hydrocarbon, you're gonna strip everything. All the flavonoids and terpenes, multiple levels of them, as well as all the cannabinoids. And that has to do with solubility and relation. You know what I mean? We're hydrocarbons. The plant's a hydrocarbon. The terpenes are hydrocarbon. Terpenes and flavorants are natural solvents of the plant. And so when you start to kind of break down that connection, like, oh, of course, like, you know, it all mushes together.
Sticky and sandy doesn't matter to you.
Yeah. So no, we'll rip it all off. And so now through process and through technique, that's where hydrocarbon becomes kind of a good or bad thing. If you don't know what the fuck you're doing, yeah, you can make not so great hydrocarbon extract. But if you know what you're doing, if you're cold, if you have the proper equipment, if you know how to remove all of that residual solvent and preserve that, you know, all that flavor and all that taste and all that aromatic, yeah, you can make amazing product. And yeah, that you'll see a lot of mature industries that are like, oh, no more BHO. We just like rosin. And then they start to go back to live resin because flavor chasing and just that terp hunt, like you said.
The only thing we get, like some of our citrus strains, like the lime salt I bred, that's pretty much limey citrus 0.8% wash.
Yeah.
Amazing, but 0.8 you can't make. There's no money. There's no yield. There's to flower would have done way better. The flower is killer.
Yeah.
Like I was saying, that chems, which is a 1-to-1, that's pretty low. I think it's like a 2, which that's not really worth it. But like as a 1-to-1 CBD with terpenes here, you should actually try this cart. It's completely different. You ever seen those?
Do we have a battery, Jeff?
You ever seen those oranges where they'll stick cloves in?
Yeah.
Like for holidays. It's like,
you got a battery right there?
Yeah, I'll get you one.
Oh yeah.
It's like that. But it doesn't wash because it's got the terpenylene and the limonene. You know what I mean?
So what'd you make? Oh, that's rosin sauce?
We washed it. Yeah.
Okay.
What I was going to say is the only option we have is to upmix it with something that doesn't have as much terpenes. Those terpenes are going to be louder than that I can add more weight to, which if you're collecting rosin strains, everything should be terpy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the only thing I can do to make more bulk is mix it.
Yeah.
Where the limes, it's testing 15%, 16 CBD. So it's actually a little higher CBD.
Nice.
And so you would get all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and that's what we're there for. You know, we also do rosin. We have Nero's our rosin brand, and we can run whatever rosin too. But we have a unique way to
smell the cart by itself.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's super stinky already. We have a unique way to save those really good genetics that just aren't washing. And that's with live resin. And man, from the sauce to the dabs, you can create a really good product. And yeah, for those of you that don't understand what we're talking about, doesn't wash, whatever, it's yield. And it's how much the plant actually yields from extraction. And yeah, you can be talking sub 1% for a lot of stuff.
So a lot of terpenes are basically degreasers. And so if I'm mixing it in a wash bath, they're going to break down before I can catch them in the wash bag. And so that ends up just being sticky and sticking to the walls and just ended up being this like sticky mess where if you're doing hydrocarbons, it's in a column, you're dissolving that into a solution. It doesn't matter if it's sticky or if it's the terpene is breaking down because you're dissolving that in and catching it. So it limits me, but at the same time, like as a breeder, that's part like, okay, then I guess I'll have fun chasing this stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and that's the thing is, and I think, like you said, there's a lot of guys that don't smoke flower and just smoke rosin and don't smoke any BHO. And I think they really start to like close themselves off from a lot of terpenes and a lot of kind of effect. I've given, you know, some rosin guys that didn't smoke flower, didn't smoke BHO. I'm like, oh man, smell this live resin. They're like, oh my God. And I'm like, try it. And I'm like, just do it. It's not going to hurt you. There's no fucking butane in it. And they tried it and they'd be like, holy shit, dude, I'm like freak out fucking high. Well, what they're experiencing is they're not necessarily higher than they were before, but different receptors have been opened, affected,
tickled,
tingled, you know, and yeah, it's cool. And if you like to feel like
also,
that.
BHO, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm kind of insulated in our own little world, kind of went through a dip.
Yeah.
Everyone did it.
Yep.
And it got oversaturated. Everything got mailed out. Everything was, everyone was chasing not this quality, like higher terpene, different consistency. They were chasing something to mail out and make a quick buck.
Well,
and when that happens, which is kind of where we are in the industry, the cream's going to rise to the top.
Yep.
And that cream to rise to the top is going to have to start chasing quality. And that's now where, like, there are, in my opinion, as a rosin and organic person, Skittles doesn't wash.
Yeah.
And so Skittles in a jar of really nice sauce,
that doesn't mean Skittles should die.
Stuff. No, not even close.
So it might smoke good. It might make good resin.
Or like this 1-to-1.
Yeah.
If I'm getting terrible yields, but I can
Yep.
get a yield which actually is like profitable, why wouldn't a patient could use that?
Well, and when you're talking like good full spectrum products, yeah, you have a non-stripped, whole body product there that makes a great carton. People love them. I think the moral of the story is, and this is always been a fight or argue or topic among people, is what's better, BHO or rosin. It doesn't matter. It's what you like. It's what weeds better. I mean, that's usually, to be honest, the at the end of the day, the factor is what weed do you like better.
I think starting material is a way bigger issue in rosin, and that's why I'm drawn to it, because it's a better grower,
Correct.
a better usually source from a more refined grower is gonna, and that's where I'm about to plant.
And that's why I said I love the non-washers, because they were finically taken care of. Here's the thing, I've said it before. The only reason fucking people think BHOs suck is because they used a bunch of suck weed to make it with. If BHO is made with the same exact weed the rosin's made with, it's usually great. And that, like you said, goes back to the care and attention and what was put into making that product. And for some reason, the fucking rosin guys just care a little more about their weed usually than the ones chucking the fucking garbage bags of trim to the blaster to get a quick buck.
I also can't do that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we don't have 60,000 fucking
all
plants.
of our trim gets washed, and that's what our edibles get made out of, but our trim is really good looking.
You mean you guys didn't get 100 greenhouses and immigrant fucking labor to run the place?
I don't even know how.
Wait a minute. I thought that was what happened when you get a license. They just set you up that way.
I'm pretty sure even when you don't have,
that sounds like a headache.
You just say you have.
Sounds like a nightmare to run that kind of facility.
Chinese running around here, fucking, I'd be like,
100 hoop houses.
Could you imagine how much could get fucking done though? Jeez. But anyways,
okay, I have just got distracted by a text, but on the topic of extracts in general, if you had to make a list in order of priority, what are the top factors that somebody should judge a brand by that makes extracts, whether it be BHO or rosin or a mixture of the two?
The top factors that should...
Yeah, because you guys mentioned things like practice of extraction, so whether that be washing, extracting...
Material selection, so who produced it?
I think it starts with material, and for me, a lot of that is ethics.
Yep.
So source.
How are you treating the plant? How are you treating the environment? I mean, that's all kind of hippy dippy, but that's kind of our foundation.
Yeah, but it shows.
It shows, and that's important to me. That's important.
It's objectively
how I look at my food. That's just me, and that's me as a person. But that's how I look. So material source is the first thing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like you just said, no matter what, even if you choose like a completely differently grown thing, you're still chasing the highest material to start with.
Yep.
But for me, ethics are involved in that.
Yeah. No, 100%. And yeah, I mean, I don't think people should buy products from shitty people. And granted,
right.
that's a consumer
which is
level,
also kind of how it's grown in a way.
That's a consumer level kind of opinion, and that's up to them to decide who they like or not. I hope they like us, but if they don't, they don't. But I think you should align with the company's whatever, their vibe, their culture, their values. Like you said, whatever. You don't have to, but I think that should be in factored into the but quality of process, selection of
So
material,
I was about to say,
and quality of process, I think is the next
source and quality of practice.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the last part should be how cool it looks. And that kind of goes back to, do you vibe with that brand's culture or whatever? But no, I think looks should be
Looks as in jars, or looks as in the
Brand.
product? It's brand.
just branding.
But some of the best hash I've gotten was in a clear or just a black.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
jar
That
with
should be the last thing.
Hand printed label, and that's what won the cup we were at.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't matter what it was in. Like, and so I think a lot of
100%.
people hold weight to, and I'm trying, we're a brand, you're a brand. I think a lot of people hold weight to that, but a lot of it's passion. And I think passion is part of what you were saying about process, when they kind of go hand in hand.
As a brand guy myself, I will point out that the greater 90, probably 8% of people who are consumers do not have the same level of passion, and they don't connoisseur hash.
Totally right.
Yeah, they're not
cannabis.
fucking
Totally
heady.
right.
And
They're not
so it's
heady
like,
at all.
you can make a comparison, and I know cell phones aren't a consumable, but you look at Android versus Apple. Both accomplish the same thing. Both serve the same purpose. In fact, there can be big price differentials between the two. At the end of the day, 95% of the people who make a strict decision whether to go Android or Apple align with some kind of culturally separate thing. It's an identity thing.
Yeah.
And so I think that if you have the good source, you have great material that you're working with, you have a good practice, you're extracting well, you have good staff, you have good training, there's good internal culture at the place, and you can wrap that up in something that identifies with your consumer base in a way that's ethical and valuable, far past just the consumption of the product. And you hit all three of those, it's a slam dunk, and it's rare. It's really
No,
rare.
I think that's great, Jesh. I think you're hitting and it ties into your brand specifically, because look at what just that logo, how much that represents, you know what I mean? And how much is, you've been blowing glass since the 90s. You've been in it. Yep. And you know what I mean? So there's a whole culture behind that. Now, granted, you don't have to have the fanciest packaging or whatever, but just that stamp, that's branding. You know what I mean? It could be as simple as a label on top of the lid, and it's sold in a blank puck. Right. But as long as there's something there's something branding, there's something, unique that's standing out. Let me snag one of these. Yeah, that's you're providing that ability for a group to identify with you, even before they even try the hash. Even if they don't know your story, they might just be like, fucking, he's the most amazing glass blower and the coolest artist I've ever met. Then going back, the other two factors, your selection of material, your process,
and the ethics involved,
then it's a fucking triple kill. You know what I mean? And that's where I think that's so spot on.
There's nothing like having your cake and eating it too. Because I'm going to tell you right now, like, as a connoisseur of music, if I find some kind of really cool, obscure band that produces music in a way that a lot don't, but they don't have a great brand and they don't have merch that I can buy right away, it kind of fizzles out for me in the end, and it almost feels anticlimactic, because there's nothing more than I like than wearing the things that I love on my sleeve. And when people are attracted to the ethics of growing, the quality of process, the people involved, the culture it's surrounded, they want to represent it. And humans naturally gravitate towards symbology. And I think that it's one of those things where if everybody produced the same quality, if everybody was forced by the laws of nature to follow the same code of ethics in growing and extracting and creating a product, the only distinguishing factor would be brand, period.
I agree.
So yeah, that's why I think it's a big factor. But yeah, no, number one, number two is going to be the material, and then number two, the process. I think that makes each individual product, from flower, extract, edible, everything. That's what makes each individual process good or bad. And then, I think the branding and the whole bundle, am I saying there's not amazing products out there in a fucking Ziploc bag or in a unmarked
I'll
puck?
admit
Of
that
course.
probably the best shit I've ever tried was definitely not branded.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look at
like it goes sold on sight unseen.
Yeah.
People don't talk about it.
but they should fucking brand it.
They don't need. It doesn't need to be.
Yeah, but I think that's where rubber really meets the road in scaling and success. I mean, look at 710 Labs.
I think
they have a great brand. A lot of people love their brand,
right?
And they have a good product.
Our biggest thing as a small micro is 280E.
Yeah,
we can't advertise.
Yeah,
advertising shows up as my personal income, and I have to write every dollar I spend looks like I made that much more, and I have to pay taxes on it. And so the bigger companies can afford that. The smaller, and for us, our brand, I feel, is we're putting everything towards the product.
Yep.
And so, like when you come in, we have kitchen rack. Our displays are minimal. It is a farm store because the product from the farm is what we're showcasing, not the showcase.
No.
Not the packaging. It's what's in it that we're proud of.
And it's crazy is because
not that we're not proud of our packaging, but that's beside the point.
And I think your packaging looks great, by the way.
I do too. But like when you buy strawberries, are you looking at the strawberry or are you looking at the packaging?
You're right. You're right. And I think the industry right now. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
Donnie. No, cut it.
Everything is in reverse.
I'm taking it
I actually
anyways.
trust brands with big branding now,
right?
Less than I trust the small mom and pop without sophisticated branding and marketing departments and crazy video. As a dude who literally offers that as a service, I tend to trust because they're usually going to be spending it. At the end of the day, I do think it is cheaper to spend money in marketing and branding than it is to produce a good product.
Well,
it's significantly harder. If you can do both, you should. But it is significantly harder to do one the other. And a lot of the corporate guys that are coming into cannabis that don't know or don't have the access to the network of people to actually create a good product, those people are going to lean on what they know, which is like, all right, if we package it well, maybe it'll do good or it will do good. And so I personally trust over-branded products far less now when I'm shopping, you know what I mean? Secret shopping or whatever it may be.
And so at the end of it, there needs to be safe banking. And if you go back to the root of the problem, there's not safe banking. There is 280E. A mom and pop should be able, anybody, a mom and pop and the corporate guy should get to write off their fucking marketing expenses and any expenses that any regular American business or business in their fucking area can do.
It keeps money out of the state of New Mexico.
100%.
Because all of our money goes to the federal government. And if we made that much profit, our business model, it would go back to the employees. And in that, it would directly go. I still live in a one bathroom. I got a teenager and a wife and 3 dogs and a cat and a small little 1-bedroom, little glass shop in back with a little teeny, like I'm not balling out. We're doing it right. Trying to like show our daughter, like,
I think that's the common misconception.
A good product and employ people and pay taxes.
People probably thought you were sitting on.
I guess that's what I meant to say is like, all of our money goes to the federal government. And if it didn't, that much money would show up as profit. We could sell more. It keeps me from selling more products. Because the more products I sell, if we actually do it right, gets tied up in 280E. Where if that was gone, like we would have an amazing glass shop.
I think the common public does not understand what the cannabis industry goes through as far as taxing, from left to right. And I think there's this common misconception that everybody's millionaires sitting on all kinds of money. Even if they've made millions, it was spent, it was taxed, it was taken from them. And so if the big picture made millions, that doesn't mean the owner or the brand or whatever has anywhere near that.
So all of our money goes to taxes. I can't get out a loan for a house because it's like a higher deposit because it's cannabis related.
It's wild.
My wife got a call from her retirement fund saying, because we were trying to buy a house and it didn't work. Oh, by the way, we found out you're working with cannabis. Where can we send this retirement fund? Sent it back.
Oh, yeah, they didn't want to touch it.
Because it's FDIC insured. So literally like, and she hasn't put money in that since high school.
Well, and that's where
or like out of, right out of high school. And so like no cannabis money went in there.
Yep.
No cannabis money touched it. That was going to be like for our daughter, right? Like it didn't like, 10%'s gone because you're not 50 something years old.
Well, and that's where
because we touch cannabis.
Yep. And that's where the laws need to change. And I believe deschedule, which would fix the fucking problem, and treat it like any other plant that's grown and any other commodity that's made. But even rescheduling would stop this 280E. 280E is 1 and 2, right? They'd have to reschedule it to 3 and it'd be all right.
I'm not 100% sure. I've
heard
it might be.
Google it.
I've heard people might assume it's 3, but it might not, and that 3 might just like leave it continue life to the states, and it might actually open up pharmaceutical.
Well, now here's the problem with like Schedule 3 is like that's like codeine and shit. I've never heard of a mom and pop codeine manufacturer. Have you?
I think that's where there will be not a loophole, but like a rider that the states will be able to keep their cannabis programs.
Well, and hopefully,
I don't think they're going to take 280E away. We'll just be able to not get federally rated and maybe ship.
Yay!
Right? I mean, I don't, and which will give the green light to pharmaceutical companies who will be able to ship.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I don't think they'll take it away. It'll be too big of a statement. I personally don't. There's too much like New York started with social equity.
Yeah.
California's given loans that like social equity is propped up in a lot of places. That would basically just pull the rug out.
Yeah.
Too quick. So I think they'll pull it out slowly by leaving it up to the states and having pharmaceutical companies come in and slowly take over, which won't look like it happened immediately. And I don't think they'll take 280E away because so much money goes to the federal government.
Alcohol went super commercial. It went through a period of prohibition and then, then it was prohibition was ended. A bajillion brands were created and then it went really commercial. And then it's kind of going back to the craft side of it.
It's super gone back.
Who the fuck drinks a fucking Budweiser anymore? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a drinker, but there's so many options now.
But there's times for it.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. At the same time,
I'm saying
there's room for everybody at a certain level.
Drink beer all day. I don't care. Like that's whatever floats your boat. But I'm saying, who drinks a Budweiser? People are drinking the craft beers.
Right. We don't have Budweiser plants here. We have like 30 something craft places.
And you know what I mean? Why choose something super plain and commercial when you can have something craft, something flavorful, something different, and something original, something like you said that more passion has gone into, or whatever. You know the source, you know the ingredients, whatever makes you like that said craft beer.
Right.
Why not go for that? Especially when most of it's like in the right gas station or liquor store now.
Or you can go into a craft brewery and the same people are working there. The same people are banging it out and back and wave at it and be like, hey, like it's the same. It's your buddy's friend. Or like, hey, go to this place my buddy owns.
So
it's not like that.
I guess that mentality makes me think there's a chance for craft cannabis in the whole feds fucking, or the whole country goes legal and big pharma takes over. So that's my thinking is big pharma would be Anheuser-Busch and we'd be fucking whatever, La Cumbre and Bosque Brewing.
And
you know what I mean?
I never thought of it, but I guess I still think in that model, this isn't a good place for big MSOs to sell.
Yeah.
But maybe set up and grow.
Yeah.
But there's not enough to sell here and have it be a hub to ship out. But I still think like we have so much craft beer. It's a small artist entrepreneurial state. And so I think it'll still, once it levels out, like it's not worth it and like the courier model is really difficult. No one's really like pulled that off long wise because it's too big of a state. And so imagine being Cookies and having to get your product in every dispensary in every city. That just sounds logistically crazy.
Yeah.
Well, or like us, you partner with some people, a small group, or
I like that take. Believe me, as a local,
I think that's how
I like that it's your take that it's not attractive to MSOs. I fucking hope it's not. And
unlimited license isn't attractive to MSOs either. Yeah. Like that's a landscape where you come cut your teeth and go somewhere else after you've proved yourself.
Yep.
Which leaves us in the same, like, okay, it's still difficult to like it's not feasible to drive to I can't think of it, Sunland Park every week.
Yeah.
Right?
No, for sure.
Or fly there, but it doesn't make any sense to however you're getting product there.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. So there should be like a mom and pop in Sunland Park.
Yeah. No, there should be.
There should be a mom and pop in Farmington and a mom and pop. And like, if you like their product, buy their product and have, we have this specialty product from Farmington or whatever.
Yeah, no.
I think it might take 10 years.
Yeah. It'd be cool to see this state go that direction.
I'm pretty high.
Yeah, I'm
maybe I'm just high as fuck. But no, I think
we got to keep
this is an entrepreneur. No, definitely. I think this is an entrepreneurial state.
No, it is.
A lot of people don't drink Bud Light. Like you were saying,
craft kind of, talent too. From art,
has been forever.
From art to culture to all different stuff. There's a lot of that, like you said, in each little tiny town and area across the state. So yeah, if that can shine in cannabis, that'd be dope.
And I don't think opening it up to shipping is as scary as people think. For some people, if you're set up wrong, it is. But like, I think that'd be great to get to like. I would order weed from Laser Cat. Yeah, like sick. Give me like some gas and like sign up for a monthly subscription from some of my friends around the country because I want to see what they're doing.
Well, and
like I can only see pictures and stuff. I can't like I ain't like
you wouldn't have to sweat the friendly package every now and then. You know what I mean? Do it the old way.
Or try different things out from farms you never heard of. You know, then you can just buy like, I don't know, 1/8 of something and a couple joints from some great place in Maine.
Yeah. Well, and imagine being able to do that market research, just fucking do an order, click, 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 and you're trying shit from all over an
then
area
there'll be
you're
hubs
interested
that
in.
buy in bulk from small farms, which will kind of help out. I think if that happens, it might change a lot.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Still doesn't. I don't think it'll change 280 though.
All right. Where are we at on our dabs? What was the last thing you dabbed?
I don't know. You guys dabbed.
I actually forgot to say I tried that. Was it the Oleo?
The KY? Did you try the KY and
It
rosin?
was good. The flavor came on the backside to the front side.
Interesting.
But it was the same thing. That same citrus. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Those.
So they smell. This one smells louder because the different terpenes we were just talking about. But they had the same flavor, but reversed on how they hit.
I've hit that one hot. I've hit it. The live resin. I've hit it hot. I've hit it low. I've hit it like too hot. And yeah, that terp just like won't die. Like it won't go away.
I think there's just literally it's a volume thing.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just dumps them.
So
I guess 7, 8. So you guys are on.
Well, and so I hit this cart. This was very good, very earthy, super full spectrum. Yeah, just a classic.
So you're on. We'll call it 10 and 12.
Well, and then
9 and 10.
And just not even like thinking, I just took a dab of Gary Payton Nero.
So you'd be 9 and 10.
And that was sweet. It's a little sweeter than some of the other Gary Paytons I've had. That was good. And then, so what's next?
I'm going to hit our daily grape dipping sticks.
Okay.
This is something.
Sounds wild.
We grow daily grape. We've washed daily grape. We've had the daily grape dipping sticks. We run side plants to test and we'll mix them. And the mix was like pretty low yield. But then we were harvesting it and we were like, this has gotta wash. So we did it again and it was pretty good. It's really good.
Oh, this is your dab. I'm going to try the same thing because that just.
What else do we have on the table? What haven't you tried?
I've got daily grapes from Hannah right here. I haven't even opened it yet.
Hannah, right?
You got to cut into it. And then I have Chimax here and some live resin.
I want some of that. Let me try the Nero.
Yeah. There's some GMO. Speaking of GMO. What'd you say, Josh? Yeah. Well, Oleo dropped off a bunch of stuff too. I was smelling this earlier, this 12 o'clock tea. These are all full. I told them to bring me empty boxes for the display, but these are all full. No hash for Tish.
I'm taking it. It's coming home with me.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I'm pretty high. That's one thing. And this is what's really cool. Like, I just wanted to highlight, take 12 dabs for Christmas. But I just wanted to highlight some cool local makers. But yeah, this is where I think like judging them in competition would be like almost impossible, especially in like a short amount of time. Like I'm stoned. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I want to sit with for a whole day with a jar to judge it.
yeah,
You know
and
what I mean?
past taste and yeah, something might taste good, but it might not get you high. Something might not taste good, and it might get you like. So I think it's really hard.
Well,
you know,
the palate is all about what have you done for me lately, right? So I think that, like you said, a whole day with the jar is crazy because flavors pair with each other.
yeah.
And if you just had maybe some coffee, that might affect the way your
Mhm.
brain
Or how
perceives
hungry
the
you
flavors.
are, or
Yeah, something like
someone
exactly.
pissed you off, or you got in
Like,
a bad mood, and
What
all
if
of a
you
sudden
just
like,
brush your teeth?
wait,
You know, it's
or-
like drinking a Gatorade after you brush your teeth or whatever. You're like,
Yeah, 100%.
some of the world's worst tastes.
But it tastes like it's already been drank.
You know, and that's the cool thing about such a wide variety of genetics and different stuff out there is you're bound to find something you fucking like. Like, you know, all this stuff's quality, but it's all so unique and so different. And like you said, figure out the practices you like. Let's say, you know what I mean, you do like no-till, you know what I mean, products. You did just it you like the taste better, whatever. Let's say you're more into, you know, cocoa and salts and stuff and more hydroponic approach. Find out what you like. There's no kind of right or wrong, like you were saying at the
yeah, it's
beginning.
just be passionate, or you know.
To fucking be passionate, damn right. Do it right. Whatever you like, make sure they're doing it right.
I think the next step in a mature market, which we're slowly getting to, is collaboration. And
Yep.
so I think it'll be cool to see people with different strains. Like our goal is to, right now, I think 36% of the stuff is stuff I bred in-house. I know there's a handful of other people pushing to do that kind of stuff. And that's what separate, and they're New Mexicans, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Like I don't see, other than like Cookies bringing in stuff bred out of state that's just theirs, I don't see people pushing a lot of stuff. There's actually probably 5 or 6 people I know. Can't remember them off the top of my head. Do down in Los Lunas doing that. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
But that's what's going to set you aside is stuff that you're
Collaboration
doing, that
is
you're
odd
making.
for New Mexico. It doesn't seem to be.
It won't be in a mature market though.
Yeah, no.
And
You're
we're just
seeing more
not.
of
We're
it.
just not there yet.
You're
And I guess
seeing
that's
more
what
of
I'm
it.
saying. I'm excited to see the quality of the products that's showing up. And the next step is we're going to start seeing collaboration. That's where like that's where the community comes together and it changes.
Well, and that's where, you know, Sandia and Olio, we've done a ton of stuff together. The Burke Vice stuff right next to you, we did that back in the day together. But, you know, it's always been really important for us to do that just because, yeah, we got along good. You know, we were, in a sense, friends in the industry. So it just made sense.
Right.
Well, that's good. That's why I'm getting so fucking stoned. I've stopped bringing the rig on the show.
Yeah.
I started only smoking hash holes and using my puff coat. Oh my God, I haven't been this high for a fucking podcast since we used to do it. When we used to do it not on video, we'd get people so fucking high.
God, dude.
Well, I'd ask them if they wanted to dab. And like thinking like, oh, you dabbed out of a rig, right? And you never know how much people dab.
Oh yeah, no.
So yeah, a couple fucking big rig dabs for someone who just smokes flower or something is debilitating. It's like fucking, you know what I mean? What'd you do to me, Donny? And we had a couple people say that and we were like, fuck. We got to chill out with the fucking rigs.
What's on the table?
That was good. That Pixie Sticks, Daily Grape Pixie Sticks, is that what you said? Shit. Dipping Sticks.
Daily grape dips and sticks. Yeah. Those are your GMO.
Yes.
It smells like GMO, that's for sure.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
I kind of trip. You got to smell this Trop Santo, Jesh.
It's pretty similar.
Yeah, look. Oh, Barg.
About the same yield in hash, a little lighter yield in the plant, but it only goes like 63 days instead of 79 or whatever.
Did you say this was 63?
65 is when we usually take things. 60, 61 is when we'll take hash.
Yeah.
So that's about to be 12, I think.
This one?
I think
the GMO?
I think that's a might be.
12.
Is there anything on the table you haven't tried yet?
I don't know if I don't think I've spent 2 hours without a cigarette in fucking couple
You're
years.
taking dabs, bro. You don't need to.
Maybe this is a new quitting smoking method.
It's literally how I quit smoking cigarettes as a teenager.
Sit in front of a fucking camera and dab till you don't want a cigarette anymore. Just kidding. It's the first thing I'm doing when we end this show.
So let's itemize everything. Who pitched in some products?
So yeah, we tried a bunch of Carver. Obviously, it was all great, super fucking clean. It was all really pretty too. I don't know if I mentioned that.
Thanks.
It's all super light. There's some different consistencies. This Trop Santo also is like super wet. It's just like a splash against the side there, and like super light and just greasy and smelly as all hell. I'll have to try that in a second. And then yeah, the other stuff was sweet, super light. So you could tell you really focus on when to pull it, when to get it, when to wash it. That's really important. And one thing that we always, are jealous of our single source friends.
How you pull it and like the process and just harvesting for fresh rosin.
As a company, we've,
that's a learning curve too, because I've never done it on, like I was just doing small stuff basically for myself at home, and I wasn't doing like full. I mean, even a bed's only a couple pounds of weed for us because we're small, but that's still like sitting down and processing some weed.
We do some weird practices where we're so concerned about it that we actually go and harvest. So a lot of extractors don't do that, but
you kind of have to make sure it's done.
I'd rather get it right, get it at the right time. So I like to have good relationships with my grows and go before. Obviously, it's going to be ready. Kind of get a smell, get a look at what we like. Decide what we're going to extract, and then make sure that we harvest it at the pristine time. For rosin, obviously, and this isn't everybody, this is what we try to do. We don't have the same relationship with every producer, but if we have a good relationship with the producer, we can actually go in there and kind of feel as single source as possible, where we start to see, we make sure we know what they're spraying or not spraying on the plants. Make sure we know what the plants are eating, what kind of, nutrients or whatever, how they do it. And then when it's picked, when it's harvested, and yeah, it makes a fucking extreme difference in the outcome of the product. Or we just process what we're given and make the best out of what we can.
That's got to be, I mean, not difficult, but that's just an interesting curveball, because we're dialing in the conditions of the room.
It's a challenge.
Like we're changing the parameters and,
Well, and we try to pride ourselves on having consistency and having a consistent product across the board. So it's a huge challenge.
Probably better than medical days.
What's that?
Probably better than medical days.
Well, yeah, because we knew it was fucking, and we knew how to dial that in, and we could make it the best it could be. Now, granted, fire in, fire out, we'd also know fucking fire weed. You give us the right shit at the right time, and it's fucking, it's gold. It's literally. And so, but there's also things you can do from a chemistry standpoint to, mitigate pigment, mitigate waxes, and save whatever, terpenes or flavor or anything, whatever good, and the THCA that's still there. So that's where the chemistry side really comes in and helps. Because yeah, not everything is created equally. Not every genetic is created equally, but also not every plant is grown equally.
Have you ever made rosin that was just like meh, and then taking it to hydrocarbon?
No, we haven't ever gone that way. We've
dissolve. I don't know.
I don't
know
like
how it works. Dissolve it and then like.
I don't like You
harvest the guts out of it or something. I don't know.
You probably could. I've never tried it. You probably could, yeah. I don't know. I've never tried that way. It just, if it doesn't make it, and we'll show you, we'll do a tour after we're done, but if it doesn't make the muster, it goes to distillate. So
that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
From rosin.
Oh, yeah. So
right,
yeah.
right.
Oh, yeah. Rosin has gotten the fucking axe.
Okay. That's what I meant. Have you ever made rosin be like, and then
you know,
taking it to a different
I've seen a
extraction?
couple of my employees look like they were going to cry because that consists of usually, just boiling it off. So you take a whole big old jar of rosin and get it hot and pour it into the still.
Vat. Yeah, into the vat.
still and it is buy, you know what I mean? And get what you need out of it, which sadly is usually a low yielding thing because, you know what I mean? It'll do all right, but it's, it's not always, So no, there's been some stuff that didn't make the cut, but
the science of all of it's super interesting to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, and that's the thing is there's value in so many different types of products, so many different stages of hash and textures of hash. And that's where I think the consumer market, in my heart, I hope that they'll really start going after quality and finding all the good brands that do take their time and do make sure that their products are quality. So,
all right. Well, then, I think that's a good place to wrap. I think we should do a quick shout out of everybody who gave us something to dab on. If you can list them, you got Hannah
Growth. They're on social media at Hannah Growth. Oleo, New Mexico. They're around by San Diego Botanicals, and then Hannah Growth. They also or Hannah
Z
Growth.
Labs.
Z Labs.
Yeah,
Z Labs threw in. We got Carver obviously, and then our brands Pharmers and Nero.
Nice. That is that's a good Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Thank you so much for coming down.
Where can people find Carver?
Yeah, how do they get a hold of you?
8917 Adams. We're over like by Balloon Fiesta,
Nice.
Alameda and Jefferson, kind of right back in little warehouse district.
Website, menu, social media.
Yep, all of the above. It's just Carver Family Farm, no S.
Okay,
CarverFamilyFarm.com. Same thing on Instagram.
They got fire.
Hell yeah. Well, thanks for coming down and sharing a little bit of your story and kind of your plight as a micro. I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool that you guys are still in it. I think you're still a New Mexico favorite. And I wish you guys a bunch of luck in getting your wholesale out and getting the rest of the state to try Carver. If you haven't tried Carver, make sure you guys go find it at one of your local dispensaries. And if they aren't carrying it, tell them they need to get with the program. So, hell yeah, man. Thanks for coming down.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.